What is going on? How are you guys tonight? Or well, morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where you are. We're gonna do, I guess, a kind of Q&A. Just talk about whatever you guys want to. A lot of you guys were congratulating me for 70K subscribers on YouTube, and thank you very much. I wasn't really paying too much attention to it myself, and I was thinking about doing a 70K subs live stream. But after seeing how many of you guys, were, I got at least a few dozen comments earlier. I figured we could do a little something for it. I mean, I didn't do anything big. I don't think I did anything big for 50K subs. What do we do? A caviar mukbang where I made myself sick by eating like $200 worth of like Hackleback caviar or something. Maybe we'll do something big for 100K subscribers. I don't know. We'll have to see. I definitely want to do some more stuff though. I mean, a lot of you guys were excited about the production quality on that video I did earlier, but that trailer cost me quite a bit of money to have someone make. So that's definitely not going to be the norm. And I mean, I hope to improve the production quality of the videos that I'm making in the future, but it's not easy to do that stuff when you're filming it on your own. Hey, thanks, Honest. What's going on? A butter mukbang. Honestly, even that we did a carnivore challenge video. I was trying to eat 10 pounds of meat in a day. We did that a couple months ago. That completely destroyed my. I actually had to my arm hurts because I had to give blood last night. I was getting iron overload symptoms again last night. I thought like with the bodybuilding stuff, I'd be okay with not giving blood for like a couple more months, just because you're giving blood. It's obviously inhibitive to like bodybuilding and muscle growth, but I haven't given blood for like a month up until last night, and like the past few days I started getting really bad insomnia, like really bad headaches, back pain, spinal pain
Huge
again.
congrats.
Hey Trevor, thanks for the support, man. How are you tonight? What was I saying? No, I started getting like the past few days just a lot of head pain again. Really similar symptoms to the iron overload stuff I was having. So, I donated another 500 mils of blood, and I'm feeling a little better today. So, uh, no, it's pretty crazy how much iron the liver can store up and how much it can inhibit your function in general. Uh, You told us if the gays got you 100K in a month, you throw a party. The gays did their best, and now you're at 70K. Well, apparently the gays didn't do anything at all because it's my normal subscriber growth. Do a raw liver mukbang like that Korean girl. I can't do the liver. The liver is very high in iron. It gives me a lot of head pain. Drink milk, become gay, make gay friends, tell gay friends about Frankie. Is that my secret? That's my secret New World Order agenda. I've been sent by the overlords to get you guys to turn gay by drinking raw milk. That's why you look tired, possibly. What else was I was gonna say something else. Still won't do the Marine Corps Fitness Challenge weak sauce. Why do people care if I do? I probably couldn't pass the running part because I haven't been training it. But I could pass the push-ups and the pull-ups part any day of the week. No, I don't have time. I don't have time. I only spend an hour and a half in the gym. I don't have time to do other stuff besides the weightlifting. I like to see you visit a farm where you source your meat from. Well, we visited one, but I didn't film on it last week. I'm doing a video on thyroid health tomorrow, Annabella. Raw fatty fish mukbang. My stomach hasn't been able to handle that much food lately in general. Oh, what do you guys think of so for some reason anytime I make a video calling out the carnivores, they tend to just ignore me. Um I have some more evidence proving that the Andersons are like 20-year carnivore frauds. Do you guys think I should make a new video updating the information or just wait till someone responds? I mean, I feel like the last video it's pretty like it's pretty clear that they're lying. Um new evidence came to light. I found out where that house was located. We found out that it was listed less than 10 years ago by the real estate agent for that. So there's some new evidence that has surfaced. Some really fishy stuff going on with the Andersons. They're definitely lying about Big Nut Mukbang. Can you describe the head pain from iron? It's just a headache. Should we eat quickly because we are apex predators or slowly for digestion? Does it even matter? I don't think that's not really that relevant in the context of how humans procure food. Humans aren't like carnivores where they're competing for food. The difference between us and other animals is we're able to procure food and hold it and consume and like preserve it and have a sustainable food source. Whereas some other animals do similar things, like squirrels and chipmunks store nuts for the winter, for example, and they have a reliable food source. But the reason most carnivores, they gorge on food. I mean, some carnivores store, like dogs will bury bones, animals will hide corpses. It really depends. But, some animals are just constantly hunting and constantly trying to procure food. Raw milk mukbang. What do you guys want to see me on the toilet all day? I'll drink like half a gallon of milk and half of it will come out the other end. Everyone is running and scared of meat because of iron now. Well, the worst part is the carnivores are ignoring it and acting like it's not too big of an issue. Hey, Frank, went to donate blood today, but they said I couldn't because my hemoglobin was low, 114 instead of 125 to 150. Did you get your ferritin levels tested? How do I avoid iron overload? You have to make sure, well, if you guys are asking how to avoid iron overload, you should probably check out my videos on iron overload. Salt, water, and potato diet for a day before bodybuilding? What do you mean, a day before a show? There's a lot of protocols. There's a lot of protocols that you can follow in regards to contest prep. I haven't tested any of them out myself. But most of them don't really involve too much sodium or carbohydrate manipulation. Is it true carbs feed the good bacteria? That's what a vegan told me. Well, your stomach has good and bad bacteria. Will 1 teaspoon of cod liver oil and eating 1 can of wild-caught salmon or sardines daily be enough to increase? Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of omega-3 every day. You probably only need to do that a couple times a week. 36 raw eggs. Oh, that sounds gross. Your iron overload videos seem to have come in at a perfect time, and copper is helping me. Hey, Mike, I'm glad you're doing better. Toilet mukbang. That'd be more realistic. Ironically joyful. Thanks for the $2. How many carbs should a female eat per day? A lot of times people have a hard time adjusting to a lower carbohydrate diet because they're not getting all the elements of the vitamins and minerals correct. And even if they do, sometimes people have like bile issues or their body just isn't efficient at producing the fat digesting enzymes. So in that case, I would try like whatever high quality organic fruit you have access to and see how much you feel good eating. I mean, if you start combining too much carbohydrate with too much fat, you can cause dysbiosis. But it really depends on your individual tolerance. I mean, I would say I've heard some stuff that there's like people will try to like look at metabolism, say, okay, if you're at this amount of carbs, you're in like a spot where you're not in keto, but you're not on carbs, so it's a bad place. But I would just go by what you feel. Try different amounts of carbohydrates and see what you feel the best on. Is ButcherBox legit? I don't know why people keep asking me about ButcherBox and why there are so many shills on my channel asking me about ButcherBox. I should probably do a video on it, but I guarantee you they're gonna like I swear, if I do a video on ButcherBox, I'm gonna get served a lawsuit like the next week. I'm gonna have someone showing up to my door with a stack of fucking papers. Guaranteed. To my understanding, ButcherBox is just selling like American feedlot meat to some capacity. Because the pork and chicken they sell is available in the supermarket. And who's to say their grass-fed beef isn't something you would get in the supermarket as well? It's hard to say. And what's really sketchy about ButcherBox is how quickly they grew to a million, like multi-million dollar company. It's very sketchy. My ferritin levels are low. I got an iron supplement and eating liver right now. Also, should I take vitamin C? I would definitely not take an iron supplement or vitamin C. I would just eat liver on occasion and see how the levels change. My candida keeps coming back. Could it be iron overload? Very likely, yeah. Do you still keep in touch with Heal Your Gut Guy? Yeah, we talk from time to time. There is such a thing as too much, yeah. My dad is a chemist, yet he still takes statins and cooks with vegetable oils. Yeah, go figure. Just because someone is intelligent from like a modern conventional standpoint doesn't mean they're open or objective enough to look at outside ideas. How do you work out how much fatty fish, cod liver to eat to balance your omega-6? How do you work out the calculation? Well, you got to figure. I did the math a while ago. I think it was like, I remember thinking like if you eat 2 pounds of fatty fish per week, that's generally enough to balance it out. If you eat eggs, if you eat pork, it depends on how many high omega-6 foods you're eating every week. I wonder why they're not making more elaborate lies about iron overload. Well, you have to understand these carnivores are the people that have the special interest funding behind them. So, you know, it's not like I'm going to be put on a news, you know, it's not like what's that girl? What's that blonde tranny's name? Lise from Raw Alignment. Like it's not like they're going to put me on Fox News. Man almost dies of iron overload following carnivore diet. No, they're not going to post something that goes against their agenda. So that's not going to happen. Like they're just since I'm not getting that level of publicity, they can just ignore me and nothing bad's going to happen. What are the drawbacks of using cream on top of beef fat for daily energy? No, I mean nothing really, unless you have an intolerance to something. ButcherBox is that big? I didn't know that. Yeah, it's really suspicious. Frank, when you consumed a shitload of MCT oil and shit your brains out, did you? No, I mean, it just came back, Michael. Whenever you do an antimicrobial protocol, hold on. Whenever you do an antimicrobial protocol, unless you repopulate with good gut bacteria and address the underlying issues, the issue is going to come back unless you fix things. Who would win an arm wrestle between you and Naturally Stephanie? Honestly, I think I would smell her and I would just pass out, so I think she would win. Are you unlikely to get iron overload if you eat 4 ounces of liver every day for copper? That's a lot of liver. I've asked you this on the past 4 streams with no answer. How are you balancing your omega-3 to omega? Well, maybe you should have donated me like $2 instead of just spending your time typing on your keyboard. I'm trying to do fish on occasion. So I'll have lamb brains, like the lamb brains we have on Frankie's Free Range Meat. Would you ever use a squatty potty? I have a squatty potty. You mean like the things that elevate your legs when you go to the bathroom? Oh, yeah, I have one of those. Hi, camera people. Hi, can you explain why not vitamin C? I understand it's in the meat, but why shouldn't we take any? Well, you don't really need extra vitamin C as long as you're not consuming any heavily anti-scorbutic foods. Frank, your iron overload keeps coming back. Well, you have to understand, the amount of iron that's stored in my liver is hypothetically after 7 years of being on a carnivore diet. You know, I'm going to have to, the worst part about it is this iron overload issue, I was having problems back in 2017. And then I was on a carnivore diet for 2 more years eating a ton of red meat before I realized it was iron overload. So the amount of iron that's in my liver, I'm probably going to have to donate blood. Like, I've already donated blood 10 times. I'm probably going to have to donate blood at least 10, 15, 20 more times to get the iron out of my liver. I don't know how long it's going to take. I'm trying to get my health insurance back so I can maybe get a scan of my liver. The carnivore community now knows about iron overload. They had to address it because it got people worried. What bothers me is that these people are straight pseudo-intellectuals. There is no one who has really done any written research on iron overload. I think there was one book written by someone, but now that person is ironically advocating for a carnivore diet, yet he's the only person that wrote a book on iron overload. But that's besides the point. The point is that all of these, it's funny. All these biohackers, these people in the health and nutrition community, anytime a topic comes up, they suddenly act like they're experts in the field. And by all means, there might be some people that can contribute something intelligent to the conversation. But if you've been following a carnivore diet for like 3-4 years, and now is the first time you're addressing iron overload, like, please, it's comical shit. What happens to your Twitch channel? I only streamed once.
Does the raw milk parm from Frankie's free-range meat get made from rennet from killed calves or from genetic engineering?
To my understanding, most of the European cheeses are made from animal rennet. I think Parmigiano Reggiano is made from animal rennet. I don't think it's vegetable rennet. All Parmigiano Reggiano is made under the DOP. They also treat iron overload with chelation therapy if you get insurance again. I'm not too sure how effective that is because the iron is in your liver. You know, it's not like you can just start chelating iron from your liver. But thanks to the $5 porch turds. John Cena, what's your opinion on uric acid? So there are a couple of topics that I'm going to speak about in the future relevant to uric acid. One of them is blood pressure. Another one is gout. And uric acid is primarily, like, usually the problems that occur with uric acid are too much fructose, and that can inhibit like your kidney function. A bunch of issues can happen. It seems like once you combine high fructose with high sodium with high fat, it's when you start having issues with uric acid. But I'm led to believe that it's more of a vitamin C and potassium deficiency. So I think the real problem is if you consume something like raw honey as opposed to like orange or apple, because an orange or an apple will have vitamin C and potassium that will allow you to metabolize those carbohydrates. But when you have raw honey or something that's just like fructose and glucose, or like soda or high fructose corn syrup, you don't have the vitamin C or the potassium to counter the high uric acid levels. I was starting to get gout symptoms when I was using a lot of raw honey, when I was trying the bodybuilding stuff. And I don't know, I like the main reason I haven't been able to really consume any carbs in general, at least in a high amount, is because if I start doing a lot of honey or a lot of milk, I do start getting symptoms of gout. So it's important to have, you know, a natural type of food that has anti-scorbutic properties if you're consuming a lot of fructose. Is your liver a literal brick of steel? Possibly. Corn Baker and Ratboy make videos and content when you come up with novel ideas. It's pathetic. They pretend like they came up with it themselves. No, what's even more despicable is there was an interview that Ratboy was saying, like, he was talking about something I've been talking about for like 3 years, and he was saying, oh yeah, I've been carnivore for a year now and no one else has been talking about this. I'm like, fuck this guy. people are a bunch of clowns. There has to be another way than donating blood. It makes no sense to me. There are minerals that compete with iron. Also, vegans and vegetarians always talk about excess heme iron. Guys, I don't understand. Like, have you guys not watched the 4 videos I did on iron overload like 2 weeks ago? I've explained all of these things. Don't you lose enough blood from having anal sex to get rid of the extra iron? Dr. Mercola just released a book about EMFs. He doesn't get enough credit. Yeah, I mean, out of all the people, to my understanding, Mercola is one of the few legit ones that actually does his own research and spends a lot of time. Does donating plasma also donate blood? No, I mean, there's different things. Like when you donate plasma, they separate the plasma from the red blood cells and they put the red blood cells back in your body. And there's like different types of blood donations that each do different things. Where are you donating blood? Like, can I go to a hospital and donate? You have to get, it's called a phlebotomy, which is, you know, where they take blood out, like, because normally you can only donate blood like once every few months. So you'd have to go to like a hematologist. They'd have to like scan your liver. They'd have to see your ferritin was high, see if, and then that you'd have, but it's kind of hard to get a hematologist to schedule phlebotomies when you don't genetically have hemochromatosis. Have you ever froze butter? Yeah, I there was like a couple years ago where I bought like a lot of like raw summer butter. I bought like $500 worth of raw butter, and I put it in my freezer and I ate that over the course of like a couple months. Butter freezes pretty well from a nutrient profile perspective. Any collabs with Dr. Berg happening in the future? No, I think the only reason he collabed with me in the first place was because I kind of blackmailed him. Just look up donating centers. Most hospitals have drives. Yeah, but you can only donate blood once every like 3 months for in any state. I'm not sure if you can like drive around to like another state. Like since I'm in New York, I'm not sure if I can drive to like I'm not sure if I can drive over to like Connecticut or Jersey or Pennsylvania um and donate blood in those states. And because if you go to like if you donate blood in New York and you go to like another donor center like 2 weeks later, they're like, oh, you just donated 2 weeks ago, you can't donate again. What's your favorite category on Pornhub? I don't use Pornhub. I just go on Instagram. Yes, you can. So if you even if you have a New York, even if you have a New York, even if you have a New York like driver's license, Principia Carnivora mods and Freeze has a post talking shit about you. No one likes me. I mean, you can't really. It's too bad they can't win an argument with a Roman statue. You know, it's too bad. Are you still getting skin issues from dairy? No, I'm not. Is it okay for people with iron overload to eat brains? The thing is, just see what symptoms you have from eating certain foods. If you're reacting to a certain food, don't eat it. You know, I was reacting really badly to bone marrow. Like I can't eat bone marrow because I started reacting really poorly to it. I started reacting really badly to any high fat because, you know, my liver was releasing iron from eating any from the bile to digest the fat. So really just whatever food you're reacting to, I would avoid it. What do you think about double egg yolks? I never really looked into that. What's your opinion on Dr. Ken Berry? He seems legit. Well, he's not legit. I was gonna do a video on him, but there was a reporter. There was a reporter that dug up some really like how Dr. Berry was using like dirty needles on his patients for like 7 years and a bunch of other like crooked stuff he was doing. But the reporter was like, apparently Ken Berry sent some people after him or something. So I don't know if I should really make a video exposing that. Has your workout protocol changed from when you originally started? Not really. What kind of fat do I eat then? I usually eat raw dairy for my fat and calories. Frank Carnivore made my... Cornberry probably set fire to his own practice. Hashtag change my mind. Someone actually sent me an email saying he did because the IRS had a lien against the building. Jesus Christ, everybody on YouTube is a crook. Well, to be fair, most people that have a following are crooks because if you look at anyone, look at Ratboy for instance. You know, who is Ratboy? Just some random doctor that just got he literally just got his MD in psychiatry a year ago and he's suddenly on podcasts with hundreds of thousands of people. It's pretty clear that anyone who gets big on YouTube for the most part has connections. And the reason that people collaborate with each other is because they're in that network of connections. And it's all part of like that group of elite people that are just focused on making money off of the general public. That's why you have people like in some capacity, people like, you know, Dr. Berg are kind of doing their own thing. I know you disagree with progressive overload, but isn't starting any weightlifting routine technically progressive overload in itself because you haven't been lifting previously? Yeah, but most people misinterpret progressive overload as like they think it means that you always have to increase the weight every session. How much blood do you donate per session? It said that it takes 6 weeks to recover, or can you recover in less time? I donate 500 mils of blood, which is I forgot if that's a pint or a half. I think that's half a liter. But I do it I did it once a week for about 3 months straight. It says it takes 6 weeks to recover, but I was donating. Frank, I think Vegan Gains is paid to attack on YouTube. Yeah, I'm actually gonna find that out very soon. I'm gonna find out if Vegan Gains is a paid shield very soon. What's with the green screen? Is something wrong with the green screen? You say people on Standard American diet have it worse with iron overload, then why do you, who eats clean, suffer from symptoms? Well, iron overload is something in itself. People on the Standard American diet likely have high levels of iron in their liver. It just takes longer to manifest itself. Because on a carnivore diet, I'm eating, you know, what, like how much more meat than the average person? 10, 15, 20 times more meat than the average person. So in my in the context of my diet, I'm going to experience the symptoms of iron overload, you know, 10, 20, 30, 40 years before the average person. You know, something that usually doesn't manifest itself in a younger person. Do you have a workout channel? No, I might start doing more workout videos. So you have to donate blood to do carnivore. I would, if you guys haven't watched those videos I made on iron overload, I would watch them. So is adding a little raw honey to my raw milk good or bad? I want to gain weight. You can add it. Just don't overdo it. Fortification with synthetic iron and everything is a big concern.
My skin is dry and rough. Would this be a cause of vitamin C or a deficiency?
I wouldn't necessarily pin it to vitamin C or vitamin A. It could be vitamin D. It could be vitamin K2. It's hard to know without seeing the context of your diet. It could even be cholesterol. But generally speaking, if you follow like a realistic, balanced animal foods based diet, you should be able to fix things. I would definitely check out my How to Get Started Carnivore video if you haven't. And then if you want to check out my book or carnivore video course, it goes into more detail. No, I don't have hemochromatosis. That's the point I'm trying to get across. Like, the iron overload isn't a symptom specific to hemochromatosis. Do carnivore Peloton? I mean, yeah, the enteric coating and the coating of capsules of supplements can cause issues for some people. What was with everyone roasting you about your workouts a while ago? I mean, everyone's been, it's just, I mean, I explained it in a video I made. I think it was in the video, I don't remember the title of the video. It was the one where, like, I showed the Kai Green clip and, I was explaining, like, just because you guys have been following other fitness YouTubers doesn't, people just aren't open to new ideas. I've heard high ferritin is an inflammatory marker. Yeah, high ferritin is an inflammatory marker, but it could also be a marker of, it's a marker of iron. It could be a marker of inflammation in the liver from iron. Mercola will be speaking with Ratboy at Oakchella. What are they selling pus-filled testicles for White Oak Pastures? When was the last time you put your steak in a taco? Did you ever feel like you're gonna die with iron overload? Yeah, no, you feel really terrible. This Kai Green Natty. You know what's funny? Like, what's funny is, like, some bodybuilders will say, like, oh, you'll get fitness YouTube gang stalked.
What's the best workout frequency? Every day? And how long should workout sessions be?
What's funny is there are, like, I've been watching fitness videos, and I've heard it mentioned many times, oh, Ronnie Coleman turned IFBB pro natty. Or like, oh yeah, I believe Kai Green was a natty when he turned pro at 17. I'm like, what the fuck are these? Like, what do you mean? Like, no, they were probably just using testosterone and weren't using, like, insulin and GH and all the expensive drugs. Like, if someone's going to tell me that, like, Ronnie Coleman turned pro when he, like, as a natural, like, please. It's completely ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. It's like bodybuilders are drawing a line between, like, oh yeah, using testosterone is natural, but as soon as you start using insulin, it's not natural. Like, maybe we need mosquitoes to naturally lower iron. That would be a lot of mosquitoes. The best workout frequency every day, and how long should workout sessions be? I'll probably be doing, as soon as my fitness challenge is over, I'll probably be doing videos on my workout routine. I'm not going to really give away, I don't really want to give away any information pertaining to my routine. On my Patreon, I did post my fitness trial a little while ago. So if you want to go on my Patreon and check that out, it's on there. White pus pastures. Frank, can I have a month-long sleepover with you and you prepare food for me? You know what's funny? What's really funny is the carnivores are accusing me of using steroids, yet they're defending Corn Faker, who deadlifts 800 pounds. I can't make this shit up, man. I can't make this shit up. You would think, like, to any outsider, it's like, what are they doing? Do they realize how stupid they look? They're attacking some guy who's like, who's like takes care of his mentally disabled sister, whose whole family has suffered health issues their whole life. It's like, these people are stupid. Like, you think they would try to side with me because they realize they're not going to win. Can someone please explain this to me? Am I wrong here? Like, you have this young, decent-looking guy that arguably looks like a Roman statue, that sounds smarter than all of these dimwits combined, and they're going against him. It doesn't really make much sense, does it? You would think they would try to side with me as to not look bad in the long run. I mean, you would think, like, with all the negative stuff these people are talking about me, they would have shut me up already. It's kind of irritating. Did they tell you to use their discount code to get 10% off a pus-filled testicle? If Frank can't afford health insurance, he sure as hell can't afford testosterone. That is a good point. Is a proper carnivore diet okay for someone with lowered kidney filtration function? You might want to be careful with food volume as well as fat to protein ratio. Is it a bad idea to replace beef with pork or chicken for iron overload? Well, chicken isn't really low in iron. Pork is lower, but fish is really the lowest food in iron. One tablespoon of caviar daily with meal, is that enough? Yeah, I mean, one tablespoon of salmon roe would be enough for you omega-3s every day. If you're in like a developmental stage of life, like a pregnant woman nursing or breastfeeding or a child, maybe I would go a little more to be safe. Caviar in general is just a really nutrient-dense food. You know, if you get excess omega-3, it's not necessarily a bad thing. And the vegans defending that vegan strawman Patrick Boubounian, whatever his name is, who's juicing. What's really crazy is, like, people will defend, like, it's so obvious. Like, they're defending Nimai Delgado that has, like, like that's injecting every steroid in the book into his ass. Same with Patrick Boubounian. Like, these people are juicing out their minds. Like, on all the steroids in the world, and they still defend them because, oh, he's vegan. He's vegan. Robert Kassar is talking about the carnivores. He must have watched you, Frank. Can you email me the video, John? Send it to my email. That's below in the description. Can lack of bile acids cause constipation? I mean, usually... I mean, that could be... before I explain that, just check out my carnivore constipation video. Are steroids even vegan? They are. That's why vegans use steroids. Steroids are made from yams. It's like an extra. I don't know how they make them, but it's like a synthetic extract from yams or something. And steroids are technically vegan. That's why vegans use steroids. Talk about since PUFAs are released from fat storage on a low carbohydrate diet, is supplementing with vitamin E needed? I'm assuming they're
Gotta run tonight, just wanted to show support. Have a good night, Frank, and everyone in the chat. Grinning face with big eyes.
Hey, thanks, Brett. You enjoy the rest of your night as well. I'm assuming, Dragon, I'm assuming the PUFAs are bound to vitamin E in some capacity, and they're just going to get removed from the body. but you can't really consume vitamin E without consuming oxidized. Like you're going to be consuming some type of.
Hit up Banula TV after the stream for a special experience.
Can raw dairy and raw cheese and butter aid to weight loss? Usually people end up gaining weight when they consume dairy because it's very palatable and they eat more. Steroids or synthetic chemistry, they can come from plant feedstock and even petrochemical feed. Frank, how can you say you're bodybuilding if you don't do heavyweight squats? I do upper bodybuilding. Why don't I burn after eating carnivore? Like, what's actually going on? What do you mean burn? They're paying you for ads? Yeah, go figure. What's your opinion on PUA? What do women really want? What is that, pickup artist?
How much vitamin D should I take with vitamin A?
Well, the pickup artist stuff, I feel like those are guys who are just really good at talking to women.
Frank, last video quality was much better. Do more like that.
Well, George, that video costed me about half my week's paycheck for someone else to produce. So that's not going to happen anytime soon. I think pickup artists are just really good at putting pressure on women into saying or giving them their number. How much vitamin D should I take with vitamin A? People will usually say like the ratio is one part vitamin D to 2 parts vitamin A. But it's pretty variable depending on the person, what the nutrient status is. Will you go Christian to keep your channel going? Natasha, not sure about that one anytime soon. What is up with that? Why are all the carnivores going Christian? Is it part of their special interracial agenda? Frank, last video quality was much better. Do more like that. Oh, I just said, George. It's I spent half my week's paycheck to get that video produced, so. My uncle has ALS, and all they are feeding him is protein powder in the hospital. Yeah, I would try to get him some raw milk ASAP. Should I buy eggs from a local farm if they have yellow yolks? I wouldn't worry too much about the yolk quality. I would worry more about what the animals are being fed. Can I get a discount for buying a whole wheel of Parmesan from Frankie's Free Range Meat? I mean, it would cost us a fortune to ship that, man. A wheel Parmigiano is like 100 pounds. I can't even like lift it up myself. I would argue that most people are deficient in vitamin D and they've had plenty of vitamin A. So I would definitely focus on getting more sun and not too much on the vitamin A. Bobby having found Jesus is the funniest thing ever. I mean, he's obviously being paid to go Christian or some shit, but most people don't see it. Frank, tell me how much waiting time between eating periods. Can I eat milk and meat together? I might do a video on that separately. It depends on how well you tolerate the combination of carbs and fat. They want Jesus to save them from their life of lying, of sin, and carnivory.
Congrats, Frankie.
Meanwhile, Michaela is hanging out with alpha dudes. Isn't it kind of funny? Like you have half the carnivores preaching Christianity, and the main carnivore queen is getting piped by some.
Do you have any recommendations for cleaning my dry hair? Water doesn't seem to do the trick.
Like how come Michaela hasn't been getting more shit from being pumped by that, what is it, like that Bulgarian porn star? Hey, thanks, Alex. Do you have any recommendations for cleaning my dry hair? Water doesn't seem to do the trick. What do you mean cleaning your dry hair? You mean your hair is dry? I would just use cold water and don't use shampoo for a couple weeks. I want to try to make those cured egg yolks. They're probably too salty to eat on their own. I would really want to do that though. Isn't a whole wheel of parm like $2,000? Oh, it's more than that. Chad taking her to Pound Town. Nutritional yeast recommended when you fast for 16. I don't know why people are so obsessed with nutritional yeast. It's literally like a bacterial culture that they grew and they added like synthetic B12 to it. "10 minutes of tanning once a week enough for vitamin D in the winter?" No. In the winter, the UV index isn't high enough to get vitamin D from the sun. In the summer, you probably need a couple hours a day. You should try to get on Logan Paul's podcast. I think I emailed him a while ago. I didn't get a response. Guys, I've emailed so many people without responses. I've just given up reaching out to people at this point. I've had some, I'll get one person reach out to me like once a month for a collaboration. That's how it's been going lately. But the reason like these other carnivores get on podcasts is because they have connections and stuff. It's not like it's not like people want to legitimately collaborate with them. What shade is your lipstick? What are the ideal ratios of UVA to UVB from tanning beds? Most tanning beds are only UVA to my understanding. I don't know. I'd have to speak. I'd like to have a conversation with a tanning bed producer to know if there are beds that are made with very high UVB. Should you supplement raw milk for the fat if you eat a lean steak with no fat in it? It depends on your lean body mass. Someone without a gallbladder but high cholesterol. I'm trying to remember. I was reading something the other day that iron overload can be an underlying cause of higher cholesterol in the bloodstream. The blush you have on today looks adorable. That Frankie is the real deal. He cannot be bought. That's how you know he has integrity. Building a business from scratch rather than shilling ButcherBox. Yeah, I haven't gotten a paycheck yet, and I've been killing myself every week filling orders for Frankie's free range meat. I'm sure just shilling ButcherBox would have been a lot more lucrative and a lot easier. Could you live on cheese to lose weight? I mean, cheese isn't really it's a high palatability food. Like you can eat a lot of it without before being full, and it doesn't have a complete nutrient profile. Sometimes you can get an Amish farm to do glass bottle stuff. YouTube is the new TV. Some channels are as fake as CNN. I'm getting kind of sad now because YouTube is literally TV now.
I have white patches on my tongue. No matter how I use tongue scraper, there's still quite a bit there. Could it be vitamin B12 deficiency?
Yeah, it's pretty sad on YouTube now. Like all the recommended videos are like from mainstream news channels, and like I was even with the Victoria's Secret models, like all of them are making YouTube channels now. If you look, like a lot of celebrities are making YouTube channels now, and they're tuning out the creators, the original YouTube creators, and they're gonna make YouTube's moving more and more towards corporate, and that's why I'm looking at doing other things now, because it's looking like YouTube isn't gonna be realistic to have and you can't make. The reason no one's made a platform besides YouTube.
Your opinion on NoFap.
The reason no one's been able to make a platform outside of YouTube is because the monopolies control everything. You won't get a credit card company to fund your. You won't get a bank to fund your expenditure. If you go to PayPal, if you go to anyone, if you go to any company to collaborate with you to say, hey, we're gonna be as big as YouTube, they're not gonna work with you because YouTube already owns them. It's corporate monopolies. It's definition of why America's brainwashed. I have white patches on my tongue. I use the tongue scraper. There's still quite a bit there. Could it be vitamin B12 deficiency? I mean, it could be. I mean, if you address your diet and fix things over a couple months, you should notice at least at some point in time where the white does go away on the tongue. If you get everything correct to some degree, it could be. You could have a dysbiosis in some capacity. You could be. You could have too much bad bacteria. You could be lacking good bacteria. I would check out the podcast I did with Heal Your Gut Guy a couple months ago. Opinion on NoFap. There might be some truth to it. In regards to, I mean, definitely in regards to sex drive and nutrient retention, but I'm not sure if it's too important. Did you measure your camera? Saturation looks higher than usual. The thing is with the webcam that I use for the live streams, the settings get reset for some reason before every live stream. So the exposure and the white balance is different every time I do a live stream. So I'm just, YouTube recommendations have changed ever since December 10th. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Message Logan Paul's manager Jeff on Insta for a podcast. No, I mean sugar. I mean there were strains of candida that can survive off of fat. No, I think he makes a lot of money off of live streams because he doesn't answer questions for free. What happened on December 10th? YouTube changed their policies. What's the difference between raw cheese and pasteurized cheese? The probiotic content, usually the strains of bacteria, the amount of the bacteria, possibly the B and C vitamin content. USA, China, Australia is having a food war for the grand solar minimum. Yeah, but they're not. People aren't realizing that. Is it possible to fix blurry vision? It could be vitamin A related. Could be related to carbohydrate intake. There's a bunch of things that could be from. Fungus is so smart it can morph into animal cells and plants. So no, it's all types of pathogenic bacteria generally have different morphologies. And if you look up there are types of candida that become, you know, if you like, I've done a lot of research on candida because I thought I had it. There are types of strains that literally take over the whole body. Like the fungus goes, like it starts in the stomach, it like goes through the intestinal wall, it starts attacking the liver, it starts attacking all the organs, and the candida basically kills the person by taking over the organs. Their organs fail and stuff, and there's nothing that can get rid of it. Most people aren't going to see benefits from fasting if they're already following an optimal diet. What's your opinion on Amberlynn Reed? That's the chubby girl that hasn't lost weight, right? Well, I wouldn't say chubby. I mean obese girl. V gained strength from Germany has been in the hospital for appendicitis for a week. After the surgery, he had insane pus and inflammation in his stomach. Says it can't be related to veganism. Thoughts? Well, if you remove your appendix, you're removing an
Would
essential...
washing hair with raw egg yolks help thicken hair?
If you get your appendix removed, that's like a vital organ for digestion. So if you're on a vegan diet and you don't have the nutrients for your body to heal, that could easily cause issues. Washing hair with raw egg yolks help thicken hair. I wouldn't put egg yolks in your hair. I would eat them. Opinion on sun gazing during red light hours for vitamin D. Listen, you guys staring at the sun is ridiculous. Like, the fact that anyone listens to that nut jobs Farage it amazes me. It makes me wonder why I'm not more successful. Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like if people were drinking raw milk, not only would they be a lot healthier, they wouldn't be eating the shitty food. You know, if people start eating food and getting healthy and stop supporting the system, it's a huge difference. What kind of question is that? Would you fuck a fat girl if it made carnivores mad? He can't even walk. It's been a week. After the appendix surgery? When you donate blood, do they tell you what your serum ferritin is? No, that's different. They'll check your hemoglobin before you give blood to make sure it's okay that you can donate blood. What do you say to the anti-raw milk people that say raw milk kills your kids and you're 150 times to get more likely to get sick while drinking it? They're usually paid shills. Or they have a bias against animal foods like vegans. Frank, how do you know if a hematologist is good? I mean, I guess the first step would be that they have a familiarity with iron overload outside of hemochromatosis. Are skin issues the worst case scenario for issues in the body? Usually, yeah. Usually, if you're having acne or bad skin issues, it generally means that the person is pretty sensitive to dysbiosis and then they're in a tough scenario.
Sauerkraut versus high meat. Which is better for probiotics?
Usually the sauerkraut's going to have lactobacillus strains. High meat, the strains are going to be dependent on what type of... The problem with high meat is it's not a reliable source of probiotic bacteria because letting meat rot and ferment in a jar is nothing close to the natural environment of how our indigenous ancestors would have fermented the meat. That's why I usually consume like kefir, if I really want to get probiotic bacteria, or yogurt, something that's made with like an ancestral strain of probiotic to start. Just because you have a rotten or fermented food doesn't mean that the bacteria on the food is correct. So it depends. If it's a matter of buying sauerkraut from a local farm or the high meat, I would try both and see what you feel better eating. A lot of people have issues with probiotics in general. It could cause SIBO for some people. What are the symptoms, treatment of a bile deficiency? I mean, usually you'll have a hard time digesting fat. You usually have diarrhea, or the food's not going to come out right. Lack of appetite too. Is it true that wheatgrass powder is actually unhealthy? I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, on paper, it's a plant food. Nutrient availability is likely low. Walmart sells organic grass-fed beef. Is it good? I always get fishy about these large companies being able to sell like organic grass-fed beef in a Walmart for $5 a pound. Makes you question how they got their organic certification and where the beef is coming from. Just give me a second, guys. I'm just going to grab some water. How do Asian people like Chinese and Vietnamese people handle raw dairy? I'm not really too sure on that one. I'd be curious if someone can do a raw dairy protocol and see how they handle it. I mean, you have to understand what the rule, the boards that are behind like what determines something is grass fed, what determines something is organic. You can legitimately be getting, you could be eating pretty much feedlot meat from Walmart that's labeled organic and grass fed. And even if they specifically have a lactose intolerance, that doesn't mean that they can't tolerate other lower lactose dairy products like cat that have maybe like cream, butter, pretty much anything besides milk, really. Cream, butter, yogurt, kefir, they might be able to tolerate. Yeah, Sam, I reached out to her. She didn't respond. You guys have to understand, like, this, despite me reaching out to dozens of people, everyone in like the health and diet,
How often do you wash your hair?
everyone in the health and dietary community is kind of in this niche group. And if I reach out to one of them and they don't get like approval from their agent or manager, they're just gonna say no. I mean, Isaiah, I think most indigenous people were very lean and very muscular in general. You have to understand, like, the lifestyle that we used to live, very active, the caloric consumption not really too high. Pretty, humans don't really, even if a human is, 10 or 12, a male is 10 or 12% body fat, they'll still look relatively lean, but they'll still have enough fat to survive winter. People are just used to, I mean, pretty much everyone is fat now. Any ground beef recipes? Your recent chicken recipe was a hit. Yeah, I can think of some. I can think of some carnivore ground beef recipes. Do you have representation? No, I don't have an agent or anything. What is finasteride? It's a type of hair loss medication. Do you consume more fish or pork with this iron overload? I had some steak yesterday. I didn't feel too good. I think I'm going to try to do some more pork and fish this week. Adam, I'm going to do a video on thyroid tomorrow. It's crazy how people, I mean, pretty much everyone looks unhealthy now. Best food to consume after a workout? I would check my carnivore bodybuilding day of eating video I did I think a month or two ago. Liver damage from alcohol? I mean, just stop drinking and a high quality animal foods diet. You like public speaking? You should do a public
How
speaking
often
tour.
do you wash your hair?
Jimbone, I usually just rinse my hair with cold water once a day. I don't actually use shampoo or anything right now. I'm trying to figure out a shampoo that I could do on Frankie's Naturals, but I haven't really thought of one yet. There's usually a period of like, if your diet's correct, your hair shouldn't really smell if you rinse it every day. I mean, I don't think I would really have enough like social media pull to do a public speaking tour. If you look at pictures from the 60s to 90s, most people are thinner and of average weight. It has to do with high EMF environments as well as the diet. Is it true that the average American has lower vitamin D levels than a native Alaskan during the wintertime? Way lower. Shampoo is a lie. Hot water works, yeah. Best way to hydrate since water is impossible without modern plumbing. I would say that's not a cut and dry answer. A lot of modern things make it necessary to hydrate more than we would normally have to. Tanks, that's going to be in the beginning of February. Start a Carnivore Pro organization to combat the other companies. Well, I mean, an organization is never going to really take root or grow unless it's funded by the special interest people. Just like they're taking over the carnivore movement and twisting the agenda to sell their own products. Is it possible for someone who can't handle raw milk can handle raw cheese just fine? Possibly, but you're likely going to have some issues from the cheese too. Well, Sarah, that's under the assumption that the RDA for vitamin D is correct, and it's not. I mean, just the RDAs in general are. It's pretty ridiculous how they have so much merit to them in general. And even the vegans praise the RDAs, like people go into Chronometer and just plug their stuff in and act like, oh, I'm getting all the RDAs, I'm getting all my nutrients, but they don't even understand what the RDAs are. The RDAs are what they're assuming can prevent deficiencies in a certain percentage of the population. It has nothing to do with optimal health. So the RDAs are basically, okay, this is basically what is going to make you the perfect sheep to be controlled by corporations. That's basically what it is. Nothing to do with being optimally healthy. If spirulina gets rid of toxic minerals, can it get rid of excess iron? What people have to understand is the digestive system isn't technically inside the body. It's like a tube where your body absorbs foods. So when someone says like, okay, can spirulina like detox toxic metals? I would say, okay, how is that going to happen? Because same with iron. Like if there's iron stored in your liver, how is consuming something going to remove iron from your liver? It's not passing through your liver.
Why do I always wake up with a blocked and dry nose? I eat a high-quality diet. Is it dust allergy?
I would make sure the air quality in your room is okay. I don't know if you have a CO2 monitor or if you open your window fairly often. I would also make sure that you're not, sleeping in a high EMF environment. I mean, I would make sure that could be a hygiene issue too in the room, a mold
When
issue.
is your birthday? Thanks for all your hard work, smiley face.
Hey, Pride, I don't really like sharing my birthday, but it's towards the end of the year. The dairy industry set the calcium RDA. Well, the problem with the calcium RDA is it doesn't account that the reason I mean, I have a whole video I did, I think last year on calcium and how we actually have a vitamin D and NK2 deficiency as opposed to a calcium deficiency. There's a lot of nutrients that people are deficient in, hypothetically, that they're correlating to some type of health issue, but they're actually not deficient in that nutrient. They're deficient in a precursor nutrient that is needed to activate that nutrient. Have you tried Swedish style fermented milk? I've never heard of it or tried it. AMAC. What was your iron level? I haven't had my ferritin checked in a little while. But as I've said in my videos, as I've said in my iron overload videos, the blood levels of iron aren't necessarily indicative of liver iron storage. Freezing raw milk or anything with water-soluble vitamins isn't as ideal. It's more prone to damage and oxidation during the freezing. I don't know why you would freeze raw milk though. I guess if you don't have access to it all the time. But thanks, Paraded Goodies, for the donation, and thanks for Got Worms. Thanks, Got Worms, for the support as well. I don't know why my nose is so itchy tonight.
Good evening, mate. Enjoy the live stream. Oncoming fist, medium light skin tone.
Hey Rio, what's going on, man? For those of you that saw the trailer earlier, Rio was the editor as well as the videographer. Hi Frank, what are your thoughts on blue cheese gorgonzola? Is it a good idea to consume it on a weekly basis? I've had personal issues with blue cheese because the type of mold used to grow it is like a bread mold, and it's not really like a natural culture. So if you tolerate it, if you tolerate it and you enjoy blue cheese, that's okay, but I don't tolerate it too well. What seasoning do you season steak with? Sometimes I use salt. Do you do a video? Yeah, a lot of you guys have been asking me for a video on creatine. Maybe I'll do that this week. I think alcohol is a necessary component of the diet because of its prevalence throughout history, it would be unnatural to consume zero alcohol. While most indigenous people did consume fermented food products that did have
I am
alcohol
trying
content.
to pass a life insurance health exam. Should I donate blood just before the test to make cholesterol, etc., appear to be lower?
I'm not too sure if donating blood would lower your cholesterol. I've done a bit of research, and it seems like eating a large meal the night before giving the blood work can lower the cholesterol. But to my understanding, there's no effective way to lower cholesterol outside of, pretty much only eating like grains for a couple of weeks or like a long period of time. So cholesterol levels are really dependent on genetics. So unless you're just one of those people that have really low cholesterol levels on a keto diet, you might have a hard time trying to manipulate the levels.
You help lots of people.
I mean, I've had my LDL measure like 400 one week, and then the next week it's 150. So it's very hard to justify that the modern parameters for blood work are reasonable. Hey Phil, thanks for the support, man. Are we all going to be dead 5 years from now? Well, with how the New World Order agenda is going, who knows? But that was good, then it isn't good now, and we do not make the same alcohol content as they did in the past. Well, most of the alcohol that they've consumed in the past had a much lower alcohol content, like beer, and it was made from much higher quality things, so the B vitamin content was higher and stuff like that. Why do some people on carnivore have 600 cholesterol? It's a combination of things. You're lacking nutrients, it's a combination of things. If you're doing a carnivore diet properly and the inflammation is low, the cholesterol shouldn't really be that high. What causes high trig, low CO2, high TBIC, low iron
What's
saturation?
the one lifestyle change you would recommend for a normie?
Your iron saturation can be relatively low and you could still have a lot of iron stored in your liver. Lifestyle change you would recommend for a normie? I mean, just focusing on eating more animal foods in general is very helpful, as well as like turning off electronics at night, like turning off your cell phone at night, trying to keep it on airplane mode throughout the day.
If you had to make your own RDA, what would you tell everyone to eat? Do you still think that everyone can't handle raw dairy? Seeing yourself change?
I would say I still don't handle raw dairy that well, and I'm definitely still experimenting with it. I do have a hypothetical RDA list that I do want to make up that I might do in the future. The RDAs are pretty dependent on, the general scope of what nutrients you need is pretty clear. It's just, there's a variance depending on your body weight. And you could have a 100-pound woman is going to consume a lot less food than a 250-pound man. And there's also past lifestyle considerations. Like, have you been consuming a lot of vitamin A? Have you been getting a lot of sun? Because there are circumstances where there are rare circumstances where I do have clients that are in reasonable nutrient status in some context. You need B12 for homocysteine. Have you had your levels checked? Yeah, that's one thing people forget if you follow a carnivore diet. Muscle meat isn't really that high in B12. Like liver is. Certain foods are high in B12, but not really muscle meat. Frank, I'm just trying to justify drinking a nasty case of Natty Seltzer every week. Oh, okay. Frank is very serious and professional tonight, guys. Maybe more than usual. Marinate your steak in honey. That sounds like a bad idea. Your hair grows so fast. Is that just genetic? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how fast my hair grows, really. But guys, I think we'll wrap this up in like 5 or 10 minutes. I have a lot of stuff to do tonight, and don't want to get to bed too late. Yeah, I haven't been eating that much meat lately. Maybe like half a pound to 3/4 of a pound a day, and just having more raw dairy to supplement the calories. I read that fasting a few days can increase cholesterol. Is this accurate? The highest my cholesterol had ever been was after about a week of fasting. And that's because, your body literally starts breaking down, body tissue. It starts running on a pure ketogenic metabolism. Hey Frank, any progress on the raw milk farm? I would donate to Kickstart. We're gonna do a video. We're gonna do a video on the farm sometime next week and see how it goes. Frank kissed a man on film. I think if that actually happened, I'd be getting more shit. How do you know if you have iron overload? You can basically tell. I was reacting to any food that had iron in it. When I donated blood, I felt a lot better. I get pain in my thyroid after taking a drop of iodine. Yeah, you might want to remove the halogens from your diet first. Your iodine's probably detoxing halogens. Your thyroid's probably detoxing halogens. It's a very common problem when people start taking iodine. That's why I don't usually recommend people take iodine until they've removed all halogens from their diet and they've had a clean source of water for a period of time. Frank made out with a sausage on film. Well, I can't deny that one. Can you include glandulars in your thyroid video tomorrow? Probably not. It's not really that relevant. What did I eat today? I didn't sleep that well, so I didn't eat that much. I just had some yogurt and some kefir. Is psoriasis eczema worst case scenario for what? Usually if your dysbiosis is really bad, you'll have cystic acne and really bad acne. Don't forget he sucked a cucumber. I don't know what it is. For some reason, all of the ladies seem to get more excited than the boys when I dress up in like a vegan girl.
Have you tried doing a raw seafood diet? Using eggs and butter for fat. You might feel your best trying this out. Try having oysters and scallops only.
Oysters are a very bad recommendation for someone with heavy metal issues. Way too high in zinc and copper. Raw diet isn't necessarily good. You need to include fermented foods as well as cooked foods in most cases. Very difficult to follow a raw food diet, especially in the winter. But I've never really been able to satiate my appetite on seafood. Someone being very sore when waking up has to crack every bone in their body to feel better. I would first thing I always tell people to address is EMF. Have you tested EMF in your environment? Are you turning electronics off at night? And I would say, okay, what's your sleeping posture? Are you sleeping well? Got a quart jar of raw yogurt with honey. Sounds good. How do you fix low selenium? I would focus on more seafood in your diet.
Have any experience or know about bile salts and digestive enzymes lipase protease? With an influx of fat, on a carn diet would you suggest?
Yeah, I've used a lot of enzymes in the past, and they can be very helpful in the context of certain gut problems. But unless you actually know what the underlying cause of the gut issues are, it's very difficult to justify using them, because it's pretty hard to say, okay, well, I can't digest fat, so let me take a lipase supplement every day. Or, well, my stomach isn't producing stomach acid, so let me take a betaine HCl every day. Same with the ox bile stuff. They can be used in a temporary circumstance if you're trying to fix an issue, but if you don't know what that underlying cause is and you're not addressing that, then you're kind of hopeless, in a sense that you're just kind of adding a band-aid to the problem without knowing what the problem is. Digestive enzymes are great in a sense, like you could take a lot of them, and in some scenarios they're actually necessary to help you digest and break down food before it can feed pathogenic bacteria. But the goal is always to get to a point where you no longer have to take the digestive enzymes. How to reverse early stage graying, please. I think I keep saying I'm going to do an ebook on hair loss, but I just feel like it wouldn't be that long. Just some basic points. What are strains of bacteria that you make sure to have in your yogurt? I don't have the list off the top of my head. Iron overload causes dysbiosis, usually, yeah. What do you think is the future of America? It's hard to say because, I mean, it seems like America's always at the center of kind of like world news in a way. Or at least that's how America seems to center it. And they're like the most brainwashed people, and they always appeal to authority. So it's hard to it's hard to say, because if people are so brainwashed and just listen to authority in every circumstance and just let the government do what they want to do, they're just going to continue to take more and more power from us until we're literally, we think we're living how we want to, but we're pretty much in a communist state. Do electric cars have more EMF? Yeah, I'm trying to find someone who has a Tesla so I can do a video on it.
I am getting lots of dandruff and itchy scalp. I am eating a very high quality what possibly could causing it. It just seems to be getting worse.
Could be a lack of K2. A lot of people actually end up over consuming like retinol and vitamin A and overdoing the vitamins initially, and their body's not utilizing them because they don't have enough of the other precursor nutrients like magnesium and vitamin K2. So it's more about, exercising, reducing environmental stress, keeping that consistent nutrient content in the diet without going too high. The news makes it look like a disaster. Walking outside lets you know people are all right. Well, yeah, but you have like every half the brainwashed people are like just go home and watch the news every day. How do you test for EMF? There's a bunch of different meters. I've done several videos on EMF where I like go around my house and show you guys with the meters, the levels and stuff. Is it good to cook your food with coconut butter? I think coconut butter is gross, but it's not a bad choice. Pasteurized sheep milk yogurt. I'm not a fan of any pasteurized dairy. I don't think wild fish is going to cause your gyno. Unless there was some unusual. Unless they were feeding the fish birth control pills. Which is somewhat possible, I guess, in the modern context, if the fish were by a birth control plant. Which EMF meter do you recommend? It's called a Safe and Sound Classic EMF meter. It's relatively affordable. But I think we're going to wrap this up. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. We'll do another live stream on Thursday, a little longer. And we'll do another vegan critique live stream. I kind of want to... A lot of you guys are asking me to do that, to fully critique the Gregor Brian Turner interview video. So I'll see you guys every day this week for videos. And you guys enjoy the rest of your night.